योगेश जी अपनी वीडियो बंद करिए।
Hello, everyone. I'm audible.
Yes, sir. Audible,
Hello,
sir.
sir. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Good
Okay,
evening, sir.
okay. So we'll
Good
start.
evening. Good evening, sir.
So I just start with my introduction. Hello, I'm Vikas Kumar. I'm here to present this webinar along with my colleague, Ms. Shikha Balyan, Mr. Gaurav, and Mr. Ankit. Before I start, it is my humble request to you all participants, kindly mute your mics and turn off your video throughout this webinar. It will definitely help you in getting clear audio. At the end of this webinar, we will try to answer your questions. So, as you see here, the content set for this webinar is related to robotic system and cell component. So here we will try to cover what is robotic system and what are the essential components to build any application. Then we switch to this robotic configuration. In that, we mainly focus on how to make yourself ready for any application. And after that, we will cover three most important as well as demanding application in the field of modern manufacturing, like robotic deburring, robotic spot, robotic milling process. So I think if we are presenting webinar on robotics, and if we not cover this definition, basic definition of robotics, so it is not justified. So here I'm just quickly recall you the basic and standard definition of any industrial robot. So as you see here, so what is robot basically? Robot is basically automatically controlled, reprogrammable, multi-purpose manipulator that is having three or more axes. So it can be called industrial robot. So here in this picture, you can see a robot is having multiple tools. So same unit can be utilized for different applications. So uh, if we have to qualify any machine for industrial robot, so what are the essential parameters? Suppose you have one device and you want to designate that particular device as a robot. So you should have all these three essential components in that, like it should carry out different tasks and it must be reprogrammable. So you can program it for different application. And third, again, it is very important. It must have three or more axes. So please don't take my screen. It will basically increase the presentation time as well as you are not able to connect properly. So, so last and essential components for industrial robots, it's must have three or more axes. So three axes can be purely prismatic or purely rotary, or it can be combination of rotary and prismatic. So now just see this always can easily recognize what is the essential component that we have to consider
Not clear,
any
sir.
application. So it is basically wholesale defined under robotic system. So robotic system is here having few components. First is industrial robots. So means you must have industrial robots. Then second, the highlighted one is controller. So controller is again a very important part of robotic system. Then this teach pendant must be there. After that, you can see linear unit. So this unit must be there. And at the last, you can see a positioner, or you can say a table in front of the robot so that you can mount your workpiece on that. So this five components basically having a, a different role, and it is very important to define all these five components before creating any robotic applications. Programming is a secondary part. First, you have all these like essential systems so that you can create this thing. Now, if I'm going to summarize all these five systems in one go, so it can be represented under robotic architecture. So here you can see robotic architecture having Again, it is with T-spandent, then it goes with controller, then manipulator, then end effector. So end effector is again very, very important for robot. So ultimately, while you are developing any application, it can be, it can be, suppose you are trying to develop any application, so you have to properly select the robotic arm, and based on that robotic arm, you also have to select your proper tool. Then only you can go for robot programming or application development thing. So suppose method that comes under online. Second is playback method that comes under online. And third one is offline. So today, while we are going to cover three applications, I will like give you feel of all these two applications, two programming methods, feel of teaching and as well as feel of offline programming method. So if we go with teaching method, that is the first one. If we go with this method, that is the teaching. So here for teaching, the very essential components for any industrial robots is teach pendant. Sometimes we call it as a smart pad. So a smart pad is very, very important while you are programming online. So you can see here so many types of smart pads are available. So it is basically a manufacturer based. So in this you can see by using this teach pendant, we are trying to control a robot. So we can control robotic arm with this teach pendant in different modes. So mode means you have teaching mode, you can have automatic mode, you can have PLC mode. So there are so many modes available with this industrial robotic arm, in that you can run your program so that robot can work automatic environment. So it can be so here in this a small quiz, I will take just a small quiz. Just see this scenario. Like suppose we are having a big production shop, in that suppose 100 plus robots are working. So what you think? In terms of robot T-spandent, how many T-spandents are required? Suppose I want to control 100 plus robots. So options are A, at least one T-spandent or smart pad required. Then B, at least one per robot, and C is at least one per cell. So I am getting a lot of answers in my chat box, and mostly people are answering B, but you will surprise if I am declaring final answer. Final answer is one. So you control 100,000 plus robot by using only one teach pendant, by only using one smart pad. So this is the basic thing that you always have to remember, because one robot runs automatic mode, we have to remove the teach pendant from each and every robotic cell so that no one can make any changes. So it is very, very essential, because today our focus is mainly on robot programming. So it is a tool. With the help of that, we are going to program it. So now, if you see this slide, so today we are talking about robot programming languages. So here in this, you can see so many robot manufacturer list are there. So here you can see ABB. Just a minute. We have ABB robot, KUKA robot, Komau, Yashikawa, Fanuc, Universal. So all robots, all different manufacturers are using different languages. So you can easily see. So it is very tough to learn all languages. So how we can proceed? Suppose we want to build our career in this field. We want to after a year or 2 years, we want to become a robot engineer or robot programmer. So one thing is like here different makes are using different robotic language, but here I just want to declare, if you closely observe and analyze the each and every languages offered by different manufacturers, you can find one common thing in that robot programming languages, that they are using structured programming concept. Structured programming concept means uh, more or less they are using almost same logic, same concept. Only some little bit change you will find while you are switching from ABB to cut on any robot, but the basic thing remains same. So what do you understand by this structured programming concept? In next slide, try to clear your mind. What is structured programming concept? Create
Sir,
your
your
program
voice is gone.
non-logical manner. So while any error is in your program, it is very, very difficult to find out that particular error. For implementing this concept in your program, like a structured
हेलो
programming,
सर
you have
सर
to
आपकी आवाज प्रॉपर
have
नहीं आ रही है.
perform lot of paperwork, and that's why here I am. Here I want to draw your attention. If you want to become a good robot programmer, you all should must like follow this paperwork, because in the right hand side you can see one funny picture, but it is messaging a lot for us. So no job is finished until the paperwork is done. So picture is also funny, but you can if you can conclude this picture in a way like, if you are not good in paperwork, you are not going to become a good robot programmer. uh, and this thing I can easily prove in in next slide, so that you can see the importance of paperwork. Suppose one customers come across you and say, like, I want to develop program for this particular application, for this particular problem. So there is two approach. One is linear model approach. You can see here, one is linear model, and one is concurrent model. In linear model, what happens? A group of people start, they are not believe in the need statement. They are not going to understand the need of customer. They start working over the problem. I think someone has taken my screen. Please, it is my humble request to you. Don't take my presentation. Otherwise, it will increase the overall time, as well as you are not going to get proper thing what I want to deliver. So if as a programmer, suppose you are not going to understand the need statement. Suppose I want this particular solutions, and without going in much depth, you just started working on that. So end result will doesn't match. But if you follow this second one rule, in that you are going to give much time upon concept. So when concept is clear, how you are going to clear your concept? Just by asking all these questions. What does the program do? What inputs are required? What outputs we have to supply? So these are the questions that you must ask with your customer. Then only you can reach up to the point what exactly need of the customer. So by using this approach, you can save around 40% time. And here in first approach, most of the time you are like engaging yourself in field, in manufacturing. But here in second approach, most of the time you are giving on paper. So it is very, very important. Although I am more theoretical in my webinar up to this slide, but please understand the importance of paperwork. If you are not having good logic on paper, you are not going to build great program on robot. So just say this flow, and this is the like master flow that you must have to follow from customer inquiry to documentation thing. If you are not following each and every step while you are creating, while you are understanding any problem statement, while you are creating any programs, you are not going to deliver a result that is up to the mark. So try to understand all these sequences: customer inquiry, you should go for briefing, then identify the goals, then do the situation analysis. Means suppose situation is not appropriate as you want, so you have to analyze that particular situation. Then requirement specification. In this, what we want to say, requirement specification always having two things. One is management related, like they are ready to invest, and second is technical related. Means if management is ready to invest, whether your people are going to handle it not, so technically you are sound or not. So that kind of requirement we have to see while we are developing any program. There are so many intermediate stages you can see in this. Now we can move to the next slide. If you are following this thing, if you have followed this thing, this basic flow, if you are going to follow, so you easily analyze that, like what programs demands, like this is a demand from program as well as customer. A customer is satisfied only when it is your program offered to customer is efficient as well as free from error, easy to understand, maintenance friendly, clearly structured, and economical. If all these features are available in your program, then only any customer is going with full satisfaction. So if you follow the basic thumb rule, like the flow of maintaining making your program, then ultimately you are going indirect. This is byproduct. If you are going to follow this flow, then definitely you are going to get this end result in terms of efficient, free from error, easy to understand. So this will like a demands on program. Now I have given, I think, good theoretical content. Now just look at this slide. So here I have placed 5 things: robot safety, jogging, mastering, tool calibration, and base calibration. So after setting your cell ready for program, you have to do all these 5 essential operations. Suppose you want to cook any recipe, so you have to chop something. You have to do. Uh, I think again someone has taken my screen. Just a minute. Sorry for this interruption. So now I think my slide is visible to you. Suppose your cell is ready for programming. So now you have to do all this. Now you have to take care of all these 5 operations. First, you must follow the robot safety. Robot safety means nothing. Just through one slide, I want to convey my message. Robot is always stronger than you. Always remember, and never try to come in the robot envelope. Means suppose robot is moving, so you never come across this robot. So this is the basic rule, and if we have to follow uh, robot safety other like you just understand. Second thing, so jogging is how your robot. Without jogging, you're not able to create the program. So jogging can be done with of key options avenues. So if you want to key options, so that you can control different accesses. So here you access 4, 5, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 6 axes you can see here. So these are the things that you have. Now come to after jogging. Suppose you are good enough in jogging. Now you have to master your robot. Master is the thing. Here we have to perform mastering operations. Means, as you know, we are like developing program with servo motors. So we have to set referencing. So referencing means a mechanical zero should be set. So we do referencing of each and every motor under this. Then tool and base calibration means we have to define our coordinate systems like at the tool. So here you can see at this. So here you can see at the tip of the tool, we have transferred our coordinate system. So same thing you have to perform while you are starting your programming thing. And base calibration. Base calibration means a same thing. You have to transfer your coordinate system from robot root to any base, any workpiece. So these are the things that you have to make ready. And if you see the basic structure of any program, so you will find all these three components in that. All these three components means you will find motion commands, you will find logic, and you will find teach packages. So what is this? All these commands I will explain in next slide. Just see here under motion, you have to like take care of this PTP, this linear, this circular. These are the simple inline motion commands, as well as in motion commands, at what velocity you want to run, at with what tool, with what base you want to develop your program. So these things you have to take care while you are developing any program under motion. And logical, maybe time based, signal based, switching based, logic based. So this thing I will explain in little more deeper way. Now come to the teach packages. Teach packages means suppose you are trying to use your robot for spot welding. So you must have this spot tech so that input of parameter can be easy. Suppose you want to control or you want to develop your robot for paint operations. So painting parameters should come while you are going to install this painting technology packages. So these are the different linear, circular, and PTP commands are there. So logic, if you see logic, so it can be having different logical statement, if then else, switch command, for loop, while loop, repeat, loop. So these are the various logical commands that is available with each and every robotic languages. So you have to use, after like using simple commands, you have to use this also. And here just see if I have installed technology package for gripper. So you will find this gripper technology package under this technology thing. So here we have to set. So you can configure number of gripper, and for each and every gripper you can put the logic whether you want to open or close. I will show you this basic. Just a minute, I have to erase first. So here, as I discussed, any robotic language having three components. So these are the simple commands using PTP, linear again. So these are the motion commands, simple inline motion commands. In that we have to declare velocity, we have to declare our tool, we have to declare our base and all. But this is not completed one. You have to use logic also. So we have used logic here, loop and end loop. So logical commands are also used. Here you can find one more logical commands like wait for 3 seconds. Now above this wait, you can find this gripper status close. So this is belongs to technology. These wait commands belongs to logical, and other things are there. So if you are perfect in motion programming, if you are perfect in logic making, if you are perfect in technology to handle technology package, I think it is good enough to program any application. So if you talk about robotic application, you can see we have so many numbers of applications. Like it start with welding, pelletizing, assembly, handling, surface finishing. If you see industry wise, industry point of view, in aerospace, wood, building, metal, foundry, wood, food, machine, electronics, everywhere you find all these things. Now here a small statics is there. In that you can easily identify more than 50% applications used in handling, and rest 30% major contribution used in welding, and rest you can see dispensing, processing, assembly. So there are having different weightages, but top two applications you can easily identify. One is material handling and second is welding and soldering. Now, basically I'm presenting this webinar through this AKGC KUKA Center of Excellence Center. So here we have so many state-of-art applications that covers like all robotic welding applications, starting from ultrasonic to laser to CMT to time twin, spot. So we have all complete range of welding application, because as you have already seen, more than 30% robots are used in welding. And apart from that, we are also having some good upcoming applications like robotic 3D printing, you can see in top corner, then robotic vision, robotic deburring, robotic milling. So these are the applications that we have here at our center. So the next, this webinar is having two phases. Like one phase I have covered. In second phase, we will try to explain you all these three applications with respect to like robot programming online as well as offline. So now my colleague, those who are working on this field from last 3 to 5 years, will going to share the knowledge and concept on the latest and upcoming robot applications. First to explain robot deburring application, I would like to invite Ms. Shikha Balian. Shikha, now over to you. Just as my humble request to see Shikha presentation, you have to pin Shikha. Just unpin me and pin your option on Shikha Balian screen so that it is visible to you.
Good evening, everyone. I hope I'm able to show my presentation and my voice is also audible to everyone.
Yes.
Kindly pin on my icon, Shikha Balian, so that you will be able to see my presentation.
Yes.
So I hope my presentation is clear to all of you.
Yes. Go ahead, Shikha.
Okay. So I will be discussing about one of the hottest application of industrial robotics in manufacturing and fabrication process, and that is robotic deburring. Before jumping directly to the robotic deburring, let us quickly understand what deburring is and why there is a need of deburring process in manufacturing and fabrication process. So deburring is a process of removing undesired burrs from complex workpiece structures after manufacturing process. It is an important operation which is being used in most of the manufacturing and fabrication processes that produces burr. So this is like burr, and this process here it is showing how to remove the burr. So basically this is the deburring process. If we talk about manufacturing industries, nowadays industries are striving for high speed and they prefer highly productive and efficient machines. The components or the parts that are going in these machines also need to be highly precise, and that's why deburring plays an important role. Apart from manufacturing industries, for metal and for hard materials, if we talk about the medical field, the rough edges of the surgical tools, they can cause internal damage to a patient, and that's why deburring is needed. So deburring is a very critical operation which is mainly done after casting process, forging process, welding and cutting processes where burr is formed. And it is a highly reliable, cost-effective and very quick procedure which ensures the removal of even minute secondary burrs from the components. So here in this slide, you can see the examples of some parts, what they exactly look like before and after deburring process. So like here, you can see this is the before deburring process bit, and this is the after deburring. So this is also before and this is after. So it is clearly visible that moving the edges of the metal, deburring the product's overall ability, it also enhances its appeal, and it can also prevent dangerous accidents by removing sharp edges. So that's why deburring is very important. I hope now we got an idea about conventional deburring or manual deburring process. So the next question that comes here is that why robotic deburring? Or what is the difference between robotic and manual deburring? So if we talk about the manual deburring process, it is an action from ages. If we talk about the recent times, the manufacturing sector has started realizing the long-term financial and operational advantages of industrial robot over traditional machines. And industries has also adopted robots in most of their production facilities. If we specifically talk about robotic deburring, it has bring accuracy, it has also bring speed and innovation over the conventional methods. And that's why the market share of robotic deburring is taking place over the market of manual deburring. The next very important difference between manual and robotic process is the factor which is related to increase in human labor cost. And that factor has also convinced the manufacturing industries to switch to robotic deburring. So as we all know that in manufacturing sectors, industries are striving for accuracy. They are actually adopting precision, and they're also interested in sequential outputs in the manufacturing process. And these things could only be achieved through industrial robots. And that's why it is strongly expected that there will be a boost in the demand of deburring robots during the next coming years. As recently in 2019 only, the automotive industry only ordered more than 6,000 cutting and deburring robots across the globe. So if the statistics from International Federation of Robotics are to be believed, the overall global manufacturing process market, it was valued at around 500 million US dollars in the year 2016. And it is expected to reach more than about 1,300 million US dollars by the end of 2022. So here you can see the various applications of industrial robotics. And particularly if we have a look over the forecast and analysis for the robotic deburring on a global and regional level, then there is an expectation of a rise of 13% between 2019 and 2025. So these reports and these stats are giving us clear indications about the upcoming trend of robotic deburring. So I hope till now we understand what is deburring and why it is important. We also know that why robotic deburring is important over manual deburring. So the next important question is, what is robotic deburring? And what is the main process of robotic deburring? And how it is beneficial for